I'm George Pearson, and these are just a few examples from some of the training videos I have here on YouTube. Now, when you're working with the training, following along the training, if you want to get the materials I used in the training, just go to the description down below and click on the link that's at the top of the description, and this will take you to a page where you can download the materials. Please subscribe, click the like button, and of course always share on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a curled corner effect here inside of Photoshop Elements. Okay, we'll start off with a brand new file. There we go, blank file. Default Photoshop Element size, 6x4. And choose OK. There we go. I'll just dock that. So here's our basic file. Now to make this easy to do, we'll put a gradient in here, but I'll bring our picture in first after we put in some guidelines. Now the whole thing is based upon having some guidelines in here. If I bring our guidelines up, let me just show you the guides. Here we go. So a whole bunch of guides, and these are used to help position the curl properly. So this is all based on a network of guidelines. So we'll see how that's done. Let's just go ahead. I'll leave that up there. Move over here. Okay, let's begin with putting in some basic guidelines to work with. I want to center the picture in here. So we'll just start off with guidelines at 200 on the left hand side. The paper here, notice I have pixels across the top. This is at 1800 pixels. So if I do 16 here, that gives me 200 pixels each side. So let's go ahead and do those first. So new guide, these are going to be vertical guides. First one at 200 pixels. There you go. Now no need to write all this stuff down. Just go ahead and watch the video. I have the list of these positions and instructions for this on the video support page. Just click on the link in the description. You'll find that. Okay, view and new guide. Next one is at 1600. And that gives us, again, 200 pixel border on both sides. I'm going to put one down here at 150 for the top. And that'll give us a space to drop our picture into on this. I just want to have some space around the picture. Okay, view, new guide. This will be a horizontal guide. And this is at 150, so it's counting down from the top. There we go. Now this won't be the exact position you want to finish your picture in, but it's good enough for us to start. We can then, last step, we'll recenter our picture. So there's the basic position. We'll put our picture into this area here. So let's go ahead and do that step now. And I have a picture I used here. There you go. There's a link for this picture in the description as well. You can go ahead and download it if you want to, or use your own picture, whatever you like. I'll just grab the background layer here, drag it over onto this file. There we go, and then get rid of that. Now if you don't have floating images like that, just go up to Edit, Preferences, and General, and right here allow floating documents in expert mode. That's where we're working right now. So right there, expert, and enable floating document window docking. That allows you to float your windows or dock your windows just like that. Okay, so here's our picture sitting on top of our other picture. I'm just going to pull it down a little bit, grab our corner, and let's resize this, and I'll just snap it to those guides. And then I'll pull the bottom right corner down and let it snap. Okay, there we go. Now we need to put a square up here. We'll be putting in a square shape, cutting a corner off of that square shape, and then cutting in some little notches onto that and putting in some shading, and that will give us that effect. Now to make this work out well, we'll be putting in some guidelines in here and building everything to the guidelines. So let's zoom in on our upper right hand corner here. Yeah, it's probably pretty good. I'll zoom out if we need to. Now let's start off with our pixel dimensions in here. I want to have a square in here that's 200 pixels. So we're at 1600 right now. So we'll do another one at 1400, which would be right here. And we're at 150. So come down to 350 horizontal. That will give me a nice square area. Go ahead, we'll put those in. So view, new guide. We'll do the vertical first, And again, I want 200 back from 1600, so that's going to be 1400. There it is. And I want 200 down from 150, so that's 350. View, new guide. It's a horizontal at 350. Okay, so we're putting in our square right in there. Now it's not exactly where I want that square when we finish. We need a bit of space above and below that. So I want to move that over 20 pixels. We need another spot here at 20 pixels over and 20 pixels down. So that's going to be at 1380 is 20 pixels over. Let's go ahead and do that one. And you'll see what I mean in a little bit here. We'll get the guide signs in first. New guide, vertical, and this is going to be 1380. That's the 1400 minus 20. There we go. And then another one right down here. This is 350. So we need one at 370. So view, new guide. It's a horizontal guide at 370. There it is. So we'll be making our rectangle in here, a square in here, cutting a corner off of that, and then moving it down to these new positions. So that will allow us to position our rectangle correctly. Then we're going to have to make some ellipses to cut our edges out, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. So we'll come back and do some more guides in a bit. Okay, go up here to our layer 1. This is our photo layer. And actually, let's just come down to our background again, put a new layer down here below the background, or below our photo above the background. And I'll put a gradient on that layer. Let's go to fit on screen. There we go. I have my colors set at their defaults, black to white, and then click on the gradient, and it's the linear gradient left hand side and the upper left hand corner gradient, which is the default, which is foreground to background color. And I'll just pull one straight down from the top straight down to the bottom, just like that. There we go. Now I did that mostly because the corner is in white, so having it on a dark background makes it easier to see, and then having the gradient just looks nice. Okay, now back up to our layer up here, and we'll zoom back in again on this, and let's get our corner piece made. Let's invert the colors. Click on the little double arrow right there, invert the colors. Go to the shape tool. I have mine set at a rectangle right there. Color is white, and that should follow your foreground color. If it doesn't, just click on that and then choose white. There we go. And set the setting here for square. And then just go upper left hand corner, actually upper right hand corner right there, and pull down to our first set of guidelines. There it is. Just like that. So that gives us a nice little shape in here. And then we need to cut the corner off. Actually cut off the upper right hand side and leave the bottom left hand side. So to cut that off, I want to convert this over into just a regular graphic. So let's right click where it says shape and simplify layer. Now to protect the picture, I'm just going to make a backup copy of this. Just make it up here, new layer like that, and I'll drag that down underneath of our gradient and just hide that. I'll hide that background as well. That just gives me a safety just in case we mess up here on this piece. So it's hidden and it's below our gradient, so it's not going to be seen. Okay, back up to our shape. Let's now go over here to the polygonal lasso tool right there and click upper left hand corner and pull down to the bottom right hand corner and click down there. Now come up here outside a ways and click, and then back to the beginning position again. We can now hit the delete key and delete that corner. Come down to the photo layer and let's delete that as well. There we go. I'm just going to quickly rename these. Name that one corner, double click here, name that photo, easy to see. Okay, back up to our corner layer. We can now deselect that and run the move tool. Now here's where we have these two additional guidelines drawn in. We can now take this and drag this down to those two guidelines. This just kind of snaps in place. If it doesn't snap right in place, just double check on your view and snap to, make sure that snap to guides is checked. Okay, that's the main part. Now we need to cut in a little bit here with an ellipse and a little bit here with an ellipse, and we'll be rounding off the corner of this part and the corner over here. That's where our next set of guidelines comes in at. And we'll be doing two sets. We'll be doing a measurement that's this big duplicated over here, and that big duplicated down there, and then cutting those in half. So let's see what we have up here. So we have 200 here from 16 over to 14. That's 200 plus 20. So I have 220 here, and I need to bring this back to 20. So we're beginning at 1380. So we're taking it back to 1160, which should give us a line over here. So our vertical line at 1160. So view, new guide, vertical at 1160, and that's right there. I also want one in here that's just half of this, and this again is 220. So you need to take 110 off of this. That's 110 off of 1600, so that's 1490. And we'll put that one in view, new guide, still vertical, and at 1490 right there. So that's halfway between this guide and this guide, halfway point. Do the exact same thing down here, and I want to come down. We'll do this short one first. So I want to come down 110 here. Now this is 150, and down 110 means I need to have this at 260. So view and new guide. This is a vertical or horizontal guide rather at 260. There we go. And then this guide right down here, this was at 370. Remember, this was 350 plus 20, so that's 370. And I want to come down another 370. So I want to double that dimension right there. It's going to be taking this dimension here and doubling that. So it's 370 minus the 150 up here, as you recall. So we're taking this down 220 more from our 370. So there's our 370 plus 220 is 590. It'll be right down around here. So it's a horizontal, new guide at 590. And again, don't worry about memorizing all these numbers right now. Just go to the video support page, and I have a document on there, a text file on there that gives you all of these numbers. Make it real easy. Okay, so there we go. So we have our guides out there and our guides in here. Let's now see why we have those. I want to make an ellipse using our elliptical marquee right there, and I want to cut in with our ellipse in here. To get the exact right ellipse though, let me back out just a touch. There we go. To get the ellipse exactly right, I want to make it this wide and this tall. That's why I put those guidelines in. So upper right hand corner, and again we're on the elliptical tool. You can see there, no feathering, and a new selection. Upper right hand corner, pull over to that first line there and then down to that line. So there we go. That's what you want. So that's why I made this double line here. So this is double the height of that, and this is half the width. And it gives us that ellipse shape right in there. Now while you're still on the ellipse tool, use the cursor keys, the arrow keys on your keyboard, and just move that ellipse over. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this right up here so you can see what I'm doing. And back to our ellipse. And I'll just bring this over. Now notice that the ellipse is touching this top line, and it's touching that point right there, that corner. And take it just right to that corner right there. You can come in just a little bit if you want, just a kind of a hair in if you want. Like one tap on the arrows on your keyboard. So there it is. That's where you want that ellipse to be. So touching the top and then just brushing that corner right there. Okay, I'll zoom back out. So there's our top elliptical position. Now, going up here to the corner layer, just hit the delete key and it cuts that corner out. Move down to the photo layer and then invert the selection. This is a very important step. Select, invert, there we go, and then grab your eraser tool and erase out part of the photo in here. Now I have mine set at a hard brush. Size is 41 pixel, 4150 is fine as well. Anything in there, just a pretty good size brush, because there's the size of the brush. And just erase out, went a little too far there. Let me just undo that eraser. Make sure you don't go past the edge, that point up there on your ellipse. It'll come down just like that. And then we can deselect that. So that gives me that first curve right there. Now for the same exact thing here on the bottom. This one's easier to see because we have more width in here. So I'll zoom in one zoom so you can really see what I'm doing in here. We're doing the exact same thing, but doing our ellipse this way horizontally, and be matching and catching these corners down here. Okay, back out one notch. There we go. Grab the elliptical marquee tool, and right there, and pull it over to the line left hand side there, and then down to the bottom line just like that. So that's where your ellipse needs to be, right in there. And staying on the marquee tool, use the cursor keys, and let's just move this one down. And again, you want to get down to the point where the marquee just touches that corner. And let's zoom in on that so you can see how we did. There he goes, kind of cut into that corner just like that. Okay, go over here to the photo layer, and same thing, back to the eraser tool, and don't forget to invert your selection. So select, invert, there we go, and on the photo layer, and let's just erase that. I went a little bit too far on that one. Okay, make sure you don't go past the center point right there. Okay, back to the eraser tool, so I'll just come down like that, and then erase up. There we go. Okay, and then deselect. Let's now zoom back out. We can now hide all those guides. That's fine. So view, let's just uncheck guides. There we go. And we're pretty close actually at this point. There's the basic fold. We now just need to have some shading in here to make this thing look real nice. So back to the corner, and holding down the control key, click on the icon here, and that selects just that little corner piece. Okay, let's reset our colors back to their defaults, black to white. Go to the gradient tool, leave it on the foreground background gradient. Everything else stays the same. And I'll come out here a little ways, and then I'll pull in about halfway like that and get just a little gradient. You can play around with this to get just the right amount that you want in there. The closer in you are, the darker that edge is going to be. But something kind of like that. So I pulled about from here into a little bit more than the middle in there somewhere. If it's not quite enough, just come in a little bit further. That looks pretty good. There we go. That's kind of a nice one. You saw it took me a few tries to get just the exact right look that I wanted. But pull from out here someplace to about in here someplace, get a nice little soft gradient. Okay, let's go ahead and deselect that. So that's the curl on that piece. We need a drop shadow on here now. So we're still the same thing. So layer, style settings, drop shadow. There it is right there. Let's just bring that out a little bit and soften up a little bit with the size. There we go. Set a distance at 8, size at 16. Choose OK. Now down to the photo layer. I want to darken down this corner and that corner just a bit. But I want to make that just on the photo itself. So again, hold the control key, click on the image, and that selects just that image. Make sure your foreground color is black. Go to the brush tool And I have my brush set at a soft brush, anything around 60, 65. That's pretty good. See, there's the size of the brush right there. There it is. And just come in here and just kind of darken that down a little bit. Notice my opacity is set at 25. It's real low in here. So I just hit it a few quick times like that and just kind of darken down that corner just a touch right in there. Okay, let's go ahead now, deselect that, and let's go back to fit on screen, and there we go. There's our little curled corner effect here done inside of Photoshop Elements. Thank you for watching this special Photoshop photography project video. Don't forget to subscribe so that you will get first notice of new project videos in the future. Just click on this link right here where it says subscribe here. You can get all 12 project videos in this series along with 26 special videos demonstrating the tools and techniques that I used in these projects by clicking on this link right down here. And then thank you again for watching this